The search for the remaining traces of the Suba starts here. An 8 hours drive from the capital city of Nairobi leads us to the Suba land on the shores of Lake Victoria. A land endowed with Almighty's blessings. The blue waters of the lake motion quietly on the shores. The serenity made us wonder if the spirit of the Suba ancestors had recognized our presence. The Suba kingdom is surrounded with a myriad of hills and patches of islands scattered in the Lake Victoria, offering a peaceful habitation for the indigenous Suba people. The history books attest to the Suba people, also known as Abba Suba, to be descendants of the Bantu. A people who found their way into East Africa during the wave of migration from the Central Africa over the last 1500 to 1800 AD.
Babu yetu kule Uganda alikuwa anaitwa Suba. Uli ametuzaa. Huyu babu yetu atatuzaa watu yote. Kile kilichotufanya kutoka huko, kuna vikundi viwili. Kundi la kwanza lilitoka kwa sababu lilimuua tunaita king ambaye alikuwa anaitwa Junju. Ilikuwa karibu 1760s na alikuwa king wa 26.
These people, Uregi, Kasugunga, Kaksingri, they are descendants of the Abahinda, who originally came from the Buganda kingdom but moved southwards up to Karagwe, and then from Karagwe crossing eastwards, crossing Lake Victoria to the islands of Ukerewe and Ukara. And then after sojourning there for some time, they crossed the lake again to Bunda, which is in Tanzania, and there began their journey northwards. So they came to the north, passing through Nyandiwa. Uregi people stayed in the hills, Gwasi, but Kasugunga and Kaksingri continued, where Kaksingri stayed in the central division today, while Kasugunga went and became what is known as Gembe.
Subas in Kenya are purely Bantus in Western Kenya. These are Gusis, these are lawyers.
For us, it is just like any other tale, narrated by my grandma. But Victor Obiero moves us around this kingdom, enlightening us with the knowledge on the origin of his ancestors.
How did you come to land with Suba? Suba is my dad, my family.
So you used to talk to Suba. It is believed the Suba made their first stopover in the Buganda kingdom during the reign of Kabaka Kiabuka from Kintu clan. This came at a time the king was aggressive on expanding his territory, and numbers mattered a lot when marshalling a strong military.
The first kingdom to be established was the Chwezi kingdom, sometimes called Luo Bito dynasty, where Buganda kingdom broke. When Buganda kingdom broke, then these other Luo communities also broke. And then you find their ancestors like the Jokajok, Jokomolo, Jokowing, coming separately.
Following the death of Kiabuka in the late 17th century, rivalry among his sons, Junju and Semakokiro, over succession rocked the kingdom.
Kilicholeta maneno haya ni kwamba huyu ndugu yake anaitwa Semakokiro hakuwa wanapatana. Na huyu Junju alikuwa rafiki wa bibi ya Semakokiro, nduguye. Na nduguye alikuwa anataka ufalme huu. Sasa alisema yule bibi yake ile mimba iko nayo ni yake. Lakini Semakokiro akakataa. Akamfanya akamuua.
Upon Junju's murder, a plot executed by his brother Semakokiro with the support of Abakunta clan, tension engulfed the kingdom, leading to several splinter groups.
Semakokiro alienda kwa clan inaitwa Bakuta. Akapata majeshi 70. Wakaenda kugangana na jeshi ya Junju. Ikapatikana mmoja wetu wale watu wa Wakuta alimuua Junju. Sasa unajua damu ni kubwa kuliko maji. Sasa Semakokiro yeye alikuwa anataka kumtisa tu, lakini hawa wakaua. Sasa akaona wamefanya mbaya, akaita mkutano.
At one point, Kabaka Semakokiro summoned his council of elders to authenticate his plan of wiping out Abakunta clan as a way of burying the evidence.
Alipoita mkutano, wale Wakuta walioua hawakufika kwa mkutano. Alikuwako mmoja, alikuwa anamuita Mwembe. Kazi yake ilikuwa kupiga ngoma, kuita watu kuja kwa mkutano. Mkuta pia ndiye alikuwa huko. Alipokuwa huko wakasema kwa sababu wale wamechelewa kuja watakuwa wawa, watakwenda chomewa nyumba zao usiku. Huyu Mwembe mpiga ngoma kaenda akawaambia maneno hii, wakatoroka.
But a traitor in the council let the cat out of the bucket.
Walipokwenda usiku kutafuta hawa watu, wakapata watu hawa wametoroka. Kwa bahati mbaya ile kijiti ya kupiga ngoma iliwachwa pale. Wakafahamu hii family ya Mwembe ndiye imereveal mambo haya. Wakasema wewe pia utafanya nini? Utafuata. Sababu sasa takuwa vita.
Following the turbulence occasioned by Kabaka Junju's death, Semakokiro's revenge mission led to an exodus leading to descendants of Suba, such as Wasaki, Waware, Kamaswanga, Waondo, and Abiganda, just naming a few, seeking refuge at the shores of Lake Victoria as Kabaka was determined to bury alive all his enemies.
Most of the clans of Suba today left Uganda at different times from Baganda Kingdom, although the climax of their departure was after the death of Kabaka Junju, who was killed by one of their Bakunta people.
Grupu ya kwanza ya kukimbia kwa sababu ya Junju. Kenge ndio family ya Rusinga Highland. Witewe na Mwembe ndio family ya Mfangano. Ule ndugu yake Witewe naitwa Kiboye, ule aliyeua ndiye ameenda kufanya family ya Gwasi.
During that conflict in Uganda where Kabaka Junju was killed, then the Subas had to fly away. The others who are in Mfangana and Rusinga flew northwards, and the Basuba, who are the Wakune now, went southern, and we went to the Seychelles Islands. Then we ended up landing in Musoma, and at Musoma here is where actually our ancestor came from.
The death of Kabaka Junju in the late 18th century is believed to be an onset of the conflict in the Buganda kingdom. And that was the resident or the point of conflict in the kingdom that led to the fleeing of the communities like Abasuba. This led them to settling on the islands of Rusinga, Mfangano, as well as Gwasi and Uregi Hills, forming what the Suba call the Five Nations community.
The 5 nations they were referring to were actually the 5 colonial locations that were there. This is Mfangano, Rusinga, Gembe, Kaksingri, and Gwasi. And Gembe is a recent name. The first name was Kasgunga. And because Kasgunga was just a clan within Gembe, other group protested, no, we cannot be called Kasgunga because we are not Kasgunga. For example, we have Waundo there, we have Kamreri, we have Kayanja. They said now we must get a neutral name. So when the DEO came from Lambwe, asked now, what do you call this hill? They said it is Gembe. Now, why can't we call the location Gembe? And they unanimously accepted, yes, let us be called Gembe.
The Wagasi and Wakula settled in the hills, but these other Wategi, Waganjo settled along the lake.
The clans such as Awagasi or Gwasi and Wakula came from one forefather, Kiboe and Witewe, who are the sons of Omusuba.
Wagasi and Wakula, who are descendants of Kiboe, au Kivoli, came from Buganda.
During their settlement along the shores of Lake Victoria, conflict with indigenous communities such as Kasirunda, Waloma, and Banyala was inevitable. Scars from the bloody battle in Buganda Kingdom made them confident to withstand any war.
Wakavuna Makigunga wakasudia Rwea, tukaweka Omukiseru, Omukuna Ramona.
Even between Kaksingri and Gwasi people, they had their shrine right down this way. Kaksingri fought them and drove them off behind the hills. Those are some of the wars that Kaksingri people managed to fight.
The controversy on whether the Abasuba are Nilotic speaking group can never go unmentioned. When I posed this question to the Omugambi of the Suba, Mzee Ochola Aga, he could not miss the words to defend his roots.
Our origin is Buganda. The Luos came from the southern Sudan. But if you trace them properly, you find that they came from the southern Sudan, claiming some connection with the old Jews who came from Israel, Palestine, and settled in Egypt. That is why you find quite a number of similarities in culture of the Luos and the Jews. Notably, what you can easily grasp is levirate custom, wrongly referred to as inheritance of women, because women are not property to be inherited, but it is levirate. When your brother dies, you take his wife to guard his house so that his children and his prosperity remains.
The infestation of the Lambwe Valley with the tsetse flies was the beginning of the loss of the grip by the Suba on their territory. Their customs and traditions were devoured by the enemies. Nzeiga says the intruders like the Luo were brought in to clear the bushes of the infested valley, not knowing the Suba could end up under siege.
The Lambwe Valley here was infested by tsetse flies. Tsetse flies came from eastern Uganda. Since 1907 to 1911, the Europeans brought them here around Kasgunga area at the mouth of Lambwe River as an experiment to see how fast they would spread. But eventually they came out of control and affected many people around here. So, as a way of fighting tsetse flies, the colonial government tried to introduce what they called settlement scheme, so that people could settle here and therefore clear the bush to prevent regeneration of tsetse flies. They started with the Luos. Hence, you find Lambwe division is predominantly settled by the Luos because of that. And then later, administrative leaders, DOs, DCs, who came to South Nyanza of Kisii origin, also invited their people to come. So therefore you find Abagusi here.
All the Suba elders share the same thought that their descendants trace their origin in the Busoga and Buganda kingdoms, alleging Luos were invaders in their kingdom, leading to assimilation.
Awakune originated from Uganda a long time ago around Arua from their ancestor called Musuva.
After fleeing the burning Buganda kingdom, Abba Suba had to find a governance system to centralize power for enforcing security against the lethal and daring neighboring communities such as the Luo, Gusii and Kuria. And at this point, elders from the 5 major clans of the Suba appointed a spiritual chief called Omugambi.
Omugambi had his people, the strong men, who could send the word out. And he had representatives from every clan who bring information to the Mugambi, and they take the information back to their clan.
For you to be a Mugambi one, you must have been coming from a very strong clan. And it is this Mugambi who had to authorize war against another group that is actually coming to interfere with our people. Yeah? And it is this Mugambi who would stand and say, now it is enough, no more war. Yeah? And they stopped that war.
Besides, the interaction of the Suba and other communities during migration led to upsurge of 3 dialects of Suba. And 3 dialects have distinct differences that uniquely singles out each group. These include Olusuba, Kisuva, and Kisuba dialects. I sampled out samples of the wordings in these 2 languages. Tilapia is referred as Ngege in the Luo and Engege in Ikisuba. For buffalo, it is Joey in the Luo and Engira in Kisuba. Rabbit, Apoyo in the Luo and Ekisusu in Kisuba. While Wathog is Njiri in the Luo and Enjiri in Kisuba.
Kisuva is close to Kisii and even Kuria. And then we have the last one is called Ekisuba, spoken in the Muhuru, that is Migori County. It is also close to Kuria in terms of intonation and emphasis and stuff like that.
There are certain words which are the same, but there are others that are different. For example, vegetable. With Ekisuva, it is Enyenyi. And with Olusuba, Ivwa. Are you getting me? Then fish, for example. Fish with the Ekisuva is Enswe. And with Olusuba, Envwa.
Historians such as Professor Ogot and Okelo Ayot in their books have termed Suba as mere minors, unable to stand on their own to make historical impact.
The first people to write books were Luo people, notably Professor Got, followed by Professor Cheng, others like Professor Diambu. You know, they glorified the Luos, and other communities that were speaking their language were minimized. We are not their bastards. We are separate. But the first writers thought we were not a proper entity. Hence, Professor Kelayot, when he was writing his book, Luo Abasoba, his mentor and supervisor was Professor Got. So he had to please Professor Go to succeed and get a PhD.
This father breaks hearts of the Suba elders, saying their customs and traditions washed away by the lake waters.
Even now, you young people, you are hearing that Suba is a hardship area where Gwasi is. Why do they call it so? Because it was isolated. Means of communication has not been very good, even today. So those who managed to bring education, again, education came with religion. Therefore, the first lessons was taught in Dholuo. Primary school books were written in Dholuo.
Suba!
I became more inquisitive and probed further to get clarity why the Suba have entirely become part of the Luo cultural traits, burying theirs in the history graves.
For you to go to school, for you to be a missionary, or for you to go to churches, first you had to speak Luo language. It was a restriction. It's when you are taught English and other things. So as we go along, that is how our language started to kuyumba.
So because of that, there is a lot of infusion of culture, the Luos and the Suba. But where the Luo language has been predominantly for a long time, the Suba culture phases out and the Luo one remains.
Surprisingly, majority of the Suba elders fluently hear and speak the Luo. A Suba language now remains for those residing in the islands of Lake Victoria.
The language originally spoken was a Bantu language, though different dialects. If you go to Fangano, they speak a dialect closer to Luganda, which is called Losuba. And Gwasi, Kaksengre, and these others speak a Kisoba.
The Council of Elders have remained the main pillars holding this ruined and feeble foundation of the Suba traits. But how long will this last?
We revived the Suba Council of Elders, and because of that, we are becoming known, and people who hear about Suba Council of Elders are interested in what is this Suba Council of Elders.
Tumeongea na Wizara ya Elimu. We are glad they have accepted to accommodate kwamba Msubu ata yule yuko chini kuanzia maybe nursery to Sunday 3, something like that. Katika hii new curriculum, ile prima itakuwa kwa Kisuba.
Fishing, boat building and basket making now remain the traceable cultural practices that single out the Suba people, putting them at the center point of their cultural heritage. Only a few surviving elders possess these traits.
Language is a community. Language is a society. Language is a culture. It is a tradition. There is no way that we are completely going to stop making sure that our language is sustained. If we do that, the Suba community is completely lost.
In our next episode, we look at strategies the Suba elders are championing in ensuring the Suba history is not just archived in the books for many generations to come, but its foundation rebuilt in old corners of Suba land. For Culture Quest, I'm Levis Msumba.